With the elections around the corner, KwaZulu-Natal has shown an increased number of political killings. Some ANC councillor candidates have gone into hiding, while others have reported death threats. I'm joined now by Professor Bheki Mngomezulu from the UKZN to give us some insights into the story. Thank you for joining me, Prof. Mngomezulu. So this situation around political killings, it seems to me that, you know, it never really went away. There was never really a point at which there weren't any politically motivated killings, at least in the area of KwaZulu-Natal. But perhaps the time around local government elections tends to highlight this situation a bit more. And I know this is a million-dollar question, but what are the contours of this crisis of political killings in KwaZulu-Natal, especially linked to KwaZulu-Natal, to the local government elections? What's your understanding of the factors at play?
No, thank you very much, Tulasizo. In fact, I'm no longer at UKZN. I'm at the University of the Western Cape, but
Absolutely.
KZN is indeed my home base, yes.
Yes.
No, it's a very concerning situation, Tulasizo, for a number of reasons. And if you look at the causal factors, the problem we have is that we never get to the bottom of what really causes these killings. And when they happen around election time, we normally assume that they are politically related, when in fact, you may find that actually they are not. If you look at the killings that have been happening in the hostels around eThekwini specifically, which resulted in then Premier Willis Mchunu appointing the Morane Commission, the understanding was that we'll get to the bottom of what really happened, both in terms of the killings in the hostels and also in terms of the killing of politicians. Unfortunately, we never got to know what exactly are the causal factors. And the reason is very simple. There are people who have the information, but they are scared to come forward because they fear for their lives. And for as long as that happens, we'll keep guessing as to what the causal factors might be. You may find that some of these killings are in fact politically related, but they have nothing to do with inter-party violence. They have everything to do with intra-party squabbles, where, for example, if Simelane's name is suggested as the potential candidate, and I want that position, but I can't get it, then the only way I can deal with the situation is to eliminate him. Then when it happens, then the assumption will be a party next door is responsible for that, when in fact I've killed my fellow cadre. This is one of the causal factors. Then, of course, the other one will be that you find that people have their own differences long before the elections. But when the killing happens around election time, we then assume that the killing is politically related. And then the third element, of course, is just normal violence, which happens for one reason or the other. So the list is endless. But for as long as we don't have concrete evidence as to what the causal factors are, we'll keep guessing, and more people will keep dying without any trace.
But how prominent are factors such as what you just highlighted, intra-party conflicts, factions, etc., and the battle for, access to positions and resources? But to what extent do they form a nexus with other factors such as, the situations in the hostels, for example, as well as the situation within the taxi industry?
Yes, you are bringing in another very important factor or element, that is the taxi violence. Taxi violence has always been there, and it will always be there. And that also contributes in this situation. Let's talk, for example, about this killing that happened just recently in Pietermaritzburg, where an EFF candidate was shot at and was assassinated, basically, where the minister, Bheki is currently talking to the family. That gentleman was a politician on the one hand, but he was also working for the taxi industry on the other. So with him having been killed, there are speculations. Some are saying this might have something to do with the taxi violence. Others are saying this has everything to do with political violence, and more specifically with the upcoming local government elections. So it goes back to the point I made earlier on, Smelane, that for as long as we don't have the real reasons behind the killing, we'll keep guessing. Some will basically put forward this taxi violence narrative, while others will be saying this has everything to do with the local government elections. So that is why then it's important that whenever there is a killing, even if just one killing, it's one too many, let the officials look into the matter, do thorough investigation, and then come up with the truth. Then these speculations will fall by the wayside. And until that happens, we'll keep speculating, and the factors will keep mounting, and the number will increase, and the number of people dying will also increase.
What's your sense of how effective the task team that's tasked with investigating politically motivated incidents and killings has been over the last while? It has leadership at a political level, but also it manifests in terms of the arrangement and assigning of resources within the policing sector. Has it been effective?
I would say to the Caesar, given the complexity of the matter as we have just outlined, given that, I would say that they've done a sterling job. Of course, they could do a bit more with more resources and with more intelligence. They could do a bit more. But since this task team was appointed, I think they've made inroads. And the case that is currently underway at Escalene, for example, is one typical example, because a number of cases that remained unresolved are now on the verge of being resolved. So that is a step in the right direction. But I think what government needs to do is to take this as a learning curve and say, what did we do well in this case? And then can we capitalize on that? Can we amass more resources to try and assist this sector? And then, of course, we may then be in a position to improve our security situation. Because if we don't do that, then it means that this guy will be incarcerated, another one will be out there, and no one would know. And then 20 years down the line, only then will we be in a position to identify the culprit. Because this guy, from what I hear, is that he has been killing randomly and has been killing a lot of people and influential people as well. And now the question is, how many more was he still going to kill had he not been apprehended? So I think in that sense, then I would say they've done something, but they could do a little bit more with more resources and with more intelligence being provided to them as well.
So as you mentioned, as a last question to you, Prof. Mngomezulu, as you mentioned the need for more resources for, structures such as this task team, but also the arrests and convictions of the operators, the hitmen. How important would it be then to be more structural in how we do this? For instance, thinking along the lines of what was done in Italy to deal with the mafia, for example. Do we need to have structures that are dedicated from investigation to, police units to prosecution, and perhaps even aspects of the judiciary dedicated to this problem?
That's a very important question, Tulasiza, and you juxtaposing our situation with that of Italy is even more important. The first point of departure for me is to clean up our security system, because you and I know that there are police officials who are as guilty as the culprits they are looking for. So the first step for me will be to clean up the security forces, and thereafter you provide the resources, making sure that the people who are giving resources to are people who are prepared to do the job, not the ones who are prepared to collude with the culprits or the will-be culprits. So the reason why Italy was able to deal with the mafia is because they looked at the issue very seriously, and then they considered all options, and they went for what they considered to be the best option. So for me, our best option will be to clean up the security force and then identify people who are prepared to work and then provide them resources. Then we'll be on the right track.
All right, Professor Bheki Mngomezulu, I really appreciate your time, and my apologies for rearranging you and reshuffling you and taking you to UKZN. He's from the University
No
of
problem,
the
no problem. Yeah, I left UKZN in 2015,
Absolutely.
and then I'm now based in Cape Town at the University of the Western Cape. But it's not a problem, it's not a problem.
Thank you for that.
KZN is still my home.
Absolutely. Professor Bheki Mngomezulu there, weighing in on the issue of political killings.